Many people think that Jacob simply wrestled with an angel and won by his own strength. But the truth is that this story is much deeper and full of spiritual secrets. I will share with you the real secrets of this struggle and how it can transform your life in every area. If you stay until the end, you will hear things that can completely change your way of seeing life. And best of all, you can change the state of your life forever. Are you interested? Then comment like this: I receive the blessings that God is giving me now. Just comment this: I receive the blessings that God is giving me now. When I see your comment, I will give it a heart, because I know you will achieve this result soon. Now that you have commented, let's continue. Jacob is a central figure in the Bible, known for being one of the patriarchs of Israel, son of Isaac and grandson of Abraham. His life is a rich tapestry of significant events and deep spiritual lessons. From the beginning, his story is marked by rivalry with his twin brother Esau. Jacob, whose name means he who grasps the heel or supplanter, was born holding Esau's heel, foreshadowing the intense competition between them. This rivalry culminates in Jacob cunningly obtaining the blessing and birthright that traditionally belonged to Esau, thus setting the stage for a family drama that unfolds over decades. The importance of Jacob in the Bible cannot be underestimated. He is the father of the 12 tribes of Israel, each representing one of his sons. His new name, Israel, given after his mysterious struggle, became the name of the nation chosen by God. Jacob's journey is a testimony of transformation and redemption, showing how God can shape and use imperfect individuals to fulfill his grand purposes. Jacob, with all his flaws and challenges, is living proof that God's grace is capable of transforming lives and destinies. In the historical context, Jacob lived in a time of nomads, patriarchy, and tribal alliances. His family was rich in flocks and servants, and his daily life was intrinsically linked to the promises made by God to his grandfather Abraham. These promises of land, descendants, and blessing were always on the horizon, shaping Jacob's decisions and actions. His journey, full of ups and downs, was also a spiritual pilgrimage, seeking the promised land and divine favor. The situation before the famous struggle with God was one of the most distressing in Jacob's life. He was about to meet his brother Esau for the first time in 20 years. The last time they saw each other, Esau had vowed to kill Jacob for stealing his blessing. Imagine Jacob's fear and anxiety, knowing he was about to meet someone who had every reason to seek revenge. He divided his camp, sent gifts ahead in an attempt to appease Esau, and prayed fervently for God's protection. Tension was in the air, every moment a mixture of hope and despair. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where it seemed like everything was against you, where fear and anxiety were so palpable they could almost be touched? It was in this state of mind that Jacob found himself on the night of the struggle. He was alone, by the river, vulnerable and not knowing what the future held. It was in this moment of extreme vulnerability that Jacob encountered a mysterious man and wrestled with him until dawn. This struggle was not only physical, but an intense spiritual battle, representing Jacob's internal struggle with his own flaws and his desperate desire for divine change. Imagine the scene. It is a dark and silent night. Jacob is alone on the banks of the Jabbok River. The soft sound of running water contrasts with the turmoil of his thoughts. He is tense, anxious about the imminent reunion with his brother Esau. Suddenly, a mysterious man appears, and without a word, an intense struggle begins. This is not an ordinary fight. Each movement, each blow is laden with immense emotional and spiritual weight. Jacob fights with all his strength, determined not to surrender, for he feels that this struggle is more than physical. It is a battle for his own soul and future. The intensity of the struggle is overwhelming. Jacob is not only fighting a physical opponent, but is facing years of fear, guilt, and the desperate need for change. Each blow exchanged is a symbol of his resistance, his stubbornness, and above all, his determination. Jacob does not give up, even when he is wounded and exhausted. He clings to his adversary with a tenacity that seems almost superhuman, knowing that this combat is decisive for his life. This determination of Jacob reveals an inner strength that he might not have even known he possessed until that crucial moment. Spiritually, this struggle is a turning point in Jacob's life. He's not just battling for his physical survival, but for a profound transformation. He recognizes the need to change his character, to leave behind the deceit and manipulation that have marked his life thus far. The struggle symbolizes his desperate quest for a divine blessing, a confirmation that he can become a new person, one who can redeem himself from his past mistakes. This is not merely a fight against an angel, it is a battle against his own past and limitations. Have you ever been in a situation where everything seemed to be at stake, where each decision, each move could determine the rest of your life? This is exactly what Jacob is facing. He is wrestling with a divine being and at the same time confronting his own inner demons. He knows he cannot continue the same way. He needs a radical change. This struggle is the physical manifestation of a spiritual battle that has been raging within him for a long time. When the angel finally sees that Jacob will not give up, he touches Jacob's thigh, dislocating his hip. Still, Jacob refuses to let go of his opponent until he receives a blessing. This moment is monumental. The angel asks his name, and upon answering Jacob, he hears that his name will be changed to Israel, meaning he who struggles with God. This name change symbolizes Jacob's new identity, his transformation from a deceiver to a prince of God. It is a victory not only physical, but spiritual and emotional. Jacob emerges from that struggle limping, but also with a new life, a new mission, and a new understanding of his relationship with God. Imagine Jacob exhausted and bruised, yet still fighting with all the strength he had left. The struggle with the angel was not a brief skirmish, but a battle that lasted the entire night. Every blow, every move was laden with meaning. Jacob was determined not to give up, even when his body was on the verge of giving in. His perseverance is a powerful lesson about faith and determination, showing that even in the most desperate situations, we should not abandon our fight. The pain Jacob felt was not just physical, but also spiritual and emotional. He was aware that this struggle was a test of his faith and determination. Even when the angel touched his thigh and dislocated his hip, Jacob did not let go. He was wounded, limping, and in unbearable pain, but his will to continue was stronger. This image of Jacob, clinging to the angel despite the pain, is an inspiring testament to resilience and unwavering faith in something greater than himself. Jacob acknowledged his dependence on God at that crucial moment. He knew he could not win or even survive without divine help. In his distress and despair, he cried out for a blessing. This request was not just a desire for prosperity or protection, it was a plea for confirmation that God was with him. Jacob knew he needed a profound spiritual transformation, and that this blessing was the key to that change. Jacob's humility in recognizing his need for God is a powerful lesson for all of us in our spiritual journey. In that instant, something extraordinary happened. The angel asked Jacob what his name was, and upon answering Jacob, he heard the words that would change his life forever. "Your name shall no longer be called Jacob, but Israel." This new name, which means he who struggles with God, or Prince of God, symbolized a new identity and purpose given by God. Jacob was no longer the deceiver, but someone who had wrestled with God and prevailed. This name change marked the beginning of a new era in his life. Jacob's name change to Israel was not just a superficial alteration, but a profound transformation of his identity. Israel represented the new mission and destiny that God had for him. He now carried in his name the promise of being the patriarch of a great nation, chosen by God to fulfill his divine purposes. This transformation is a reminder that with God, we can leave our past behind and embrace a future full of hope and possibilities. Have you ever felt trapped by your past, by mistakes and failures that seem to define who you are? Jacob's story shows us that with God, we have the opportunity to redefine our identity. Jacob, the supplanter, became Israel, the Prince of God. This transformation is a promise that regardless of our past, God can give us a new name, a new identity, and a new purpose. The humility to acknowledge our dependence on God is the first step in this journey of transformation. Jacob's perseverance also teaches us about the importance of not giving up, even when we are hurt and tired. His struggle with the angel is a symbol of our own spiritual struggle, where we face challenges and adversities that test our faith. Jacob shows us that with determination and faith, we can overcome any obstacle. He fought until dawn, and in the end, did not just receive a blessing, but emerged with a new identity and renewed purpose. His story is an invitation for all of us to persevere in our own spiritual journey, trusting that God is with us every step of the way. At the end of the struggle, Jacob limped away, but with the certainty that he had been transformed. He received the blessing he had so desired, and with it, a new understanding of his relationship with God. The physical scar he carried for the rest of his life was a constant reminder of his struggle and his victory. Jacob's transformative experience challenges us to embrace our own struggles, knowing that with faith and determination, we can emerge stronger and with a new vision for our lives. Why did God bless Jacob, and why does the Bible say that Jacob wrestled with the angel and prevailed? This is one of the great mysteries that has captivated readers and scholars of the Bible for centuries. Jacob's story is not just about a man engaging in a physical struggle with a divine being. It is, in fact, a narrative rich in symbolism and profound spiritual lessons. Jacob, known for his flaws and cunning, was chosen by God to become Israel, the father of the 12 tribes that would form the nation of Israel. But why would God bless someone with such a troubled past? Firstly, we must consider Jacob's unwavering perseverance. During the struggle, he did not give up, even when he was physically injured. This fierce determination reflects his faith and his burning desire for significant change in his life. Jacob wanted a blessing that would transform his identity and his destiny. He clung to the angel with a tenacity that reminds us that in life, we must fight with all our might for what we believe is truly important. God honored this perseverance, showing that he values the determination and faith of those who seek his face. Secondly, Jacob's struggle with the angel represents an internal battle, a spiritual fight. Jacob was not just facing a physical opponent, but was battling his own flaws, fears, and the weight of his past. He recognized the need to surrender to God and ask for a blessing that could redefine who he was. This acknowledgement of his divine dependence and his desire for spiritual transformation were crucial to the blessing he received. God blessed Jacob because he humbled himself and acknowledged that he needed God to be transformed. But why does the Bible say that Jacob prevailed? In a literal sense, to prevail means to overcome or emerge victorious. In Jacob's case, he prevailed not because he defeated the angel in physical combat, but because he persevered in his faith and in his pursuit of God. He did not let go of the angel until he received the blessing he sought. This victory was not over the angel, but over his own limitations and failures. Jacob prevailed spiritually, showing that true victory lies in the transformation of our human nature to align more closely with God's will. Have you ever wondered how we can prevail in our own spiritual struggles? Jacob's story gives us a powerful answer. We prevail when, like Jacob, we acknowledge our weaknesses and turn to God with humility and determination. Jacob's struggle mirrors our own daily battles. When we face challenges, fears, and temptations, it is our perseverance and our faith in God that help us prevail. It's not about winning physically, but about overcoming spiritually, trusting that God is with us and that He will strengthen us on our journey. Another fascinating aspect of this mystery is Jacob's name change to Israel. This change symbolizes a new identity and a new purpose. The name Jacob, which means supplanter or deceiver, was associated with his history of deceit and conflict. By renaming him Israel, God not only gave Jacob a new identity, but also a new destiny. Israel means he who struggles with God, or Prince of God, reflecting Jacob's transformation into someone who had encountered and reconciled with God. This change is a powerful reminder that God can transform us, regardless of our past. God's blessing to Jacob also highlights divine grace. Jacob was not perfect. He had many flaws and had made many mistakes, yet God chose to bless and transform him. This shows that God's grace is not based on our merits, but on His mercy and love. God sees the potential in each of us, even when we ourselves cannot see it. Jacob's story reminds us that with God, there is always hope for redemption and transformation, no matter how complicated or flawed our past may be. Finally, Jacob's story is a call to action for all of us. It challenges us to fight for God's blessings in our lives with determination and faith. We must acknowledge our dependence on God, as Jacob did, and seek a spiritual transformation that aligns us with His will. This narrative encourages us not to give up in our struggles, but to persevere, knowing that God is with us and that He honors those who seek His face with sincerity and humility. Jacob prevailed because he did not give up, and that is the lesson we should take to our own lives. True victory comes from unwavering faith and a constant pursuit of God. Jacob's story offers powerful spiritual secrets that can transform our lives and help us achieve our own victories. One of the key secrets is perseverance in faith. Jacob wrestled all night with the angel, refusing to give up until he received the blessing. This kind of determination is crucial in our spiritual journey. No matter how difficult or hopeless the situation may seem, we must continue to fight and trust in God, knowing that He is with us every step of the way. Another spiritual secret is the importance of humility. Jacob, despite being a man of many flaws, recognized his need for God and asked for a blessing. Humbling ourselves before God and admitting our dependence on Him is a vital step to receiving His blessings. When we surrender to God, He can begin to work in our lives in amazing ways. There are many stories of people who, by humbling themselves before God and asking for His help, have seen extraordinary transformations in their lives. An inspiring example is Maria's, a woman facing serious financial and family problems. Desperate, she decided to seek God with humility, just like Jacob. She began to pray fervently, asking God to bless and transform her situation. Over time, Maria began to see significant changes. Her finances improved, her relationships were restored, and she found an inner peace she had never experienced before. Maria's story is a living testimony to the power of humility and perseverance in faith. Furthermore, Jacob's struggle with the angel teaches us about the importance of facing our fears and challenges with courage. Jacob was about to encounter his brother Esau, with whom he had a history of conflict and fear. Instead of fleeing or hiding, he confronted the situation head-on, wrestling with the angel and seeking God's blessing. This courage is essential for overcoming our own challenges. Facing our fears and trusting in God can lead us to incredible victories. John is an example of someone who applied this principle in his life. He was afraid of failing in his business, but he decided to trust in God and confront his fears with courage. He prayed for guidance and persevered even when times were tough. Over time, his business began to prosper, and John witnessed that his faith and courage were crucial to his success. John's story shows that when we confront our challenges with courage and faith, God helps us to overcome and triumph. Jacob's transformation into Israel also highlights the secret of spiritual renewal. God gave Jacob a new name, symbolizing a new identity and purpose. This act reminds us that with God, we can reinvent ourselves and receive a new vision for our lives. When we seek God, He can completely transform us, giving us a new purpose and direction. This is a powerful spiritual secret that can change our lives forever. Sarah is a living testimony of this secret. She went through an identity and purpose crisis, feeling lost and directionless. By seeking God, she experienced spiritual renewal. God revealed to her a new purpose and direction for her life, and she began to live with a new sense of mission and joy. Sarah's transformation is a clear example of how God can renew us and give us a new identity when we sincerely seek Him. Finally, Jacob's story teaches us about the power of God's blessing. Jacob did not let go of the angel until he received a blessing, demonstrating his unwavering faith in God's power to transform his life. When we seek God's blessing with faith and determination, He is faithful to bless us. God's blessing can bring profound and lasting changes in our lives, as we have seen in Jacob's life and in many other testimonies. These spiritual secrets, based on Jacob's story, are powerful lessons that can help us achieve our own victories. Perseverance in faith, humility, courage, spiritual renewal, and seeking God's blessing are principles that can transform our lives in surprising ways. By applying these secrets in our lives, we can experience the same transformations and blessings that Jacob and many others experienced. May we follow these examples and see God's hand working powerfully in our lives. To wrestle with God and prevail is a powerful and seemingly paradoxical concept. How can someone prevail against the Creator of the universe? The answer lies in the nature of the struggle and the divine purpose behind it. Jacob, in his struggle with the angel, was not fighting God to defeat him, but was striving for internal transformation, for a blessing that would change his life. To prevail in this spiritual struggle, we must understand that it is not about overcoming God, but about persevering until He blesses and transforms us. Firstly, it is essential to approach the struggle with unwavering determination. Jacob fought all night without giving up, even when he was injured. This perseverance is crucial for our spiritual journey. No matter how difficult or painful the struggle may be, we must continue to seek God's face fervently. True victory comes to those who, like Jacob, refuse to let go until they receive God's blessing. Have you ever faced a situation where everything seemed lost, but you continued to fight and eventually saw a change? That is the essence of prevailing in the struggle with God. In addition to perseverance, humility is a vital component. Jacob, while wrestling with the angel, recognized his total dependence on God. He knew he could not win by his own strength and asked for a blessing. Recognizing our need for God and humbling ourselves before Him opens the doors to His divine intervention. When we surrender to God and ask for His help, He meets us at our point of need and grants us the strength and transformation we seek. This act of humility is not weakness, but a powerful declaration of faith. Courage to confront our own fears and failures is also essential. Jacob was fleeing from his past, fearing the reunion with his brother Esau. Instead of continuing to flee, he faced his fear and wrestled with the angel. Similarly, we must confront our own internal demons and challenges, trusting that God will help us overcome. When we face our fears with courage and faith, we show God that we are ready for the transformation He desires to work in our lives. Jacob's courage is a model for all of us in our own spiritual struggles. Finally, the pursuit of God's blessing must be relentless. Jacob did not let go of the angel until he received a blessing, and that blessing was a change of name and destiny. He went from Jacob the deceiver to Israel, the one who struggles with God. We should seek God's blessing with the same intensity and dedication, knowing that His blessing brings transformation and renewal to our lives. When we fully commit to this pursuit, God meets us and blesses us in ways beyond what we can imagine. By wrestling with God and prevailing, we emerge not only with a blessing, but with a new identity and a renewed purpose. Here's a word from God. God has already given you everything you need to overcome. I repeat, God has already given you everything you need to overcome. No matter the challenge or struggle you are facing, always remember that God has equipped you with all the tools and strength necessary to prevail. Trust in Him, persevere in faith, and know that victory is yours. On my YouTube channel, I focus on three things: educating, inspiring, and uplifting others to draw closer to Jesus, our Lord and Savior. My goal is to help you understand the depths of Scripture, inspire your faith, and guide you toward a closer walk with God. Use my channel as a resource to strengthen your spiritual journey and find answers to your questions. And you who have watched until here, comment like this: I stayed until the end. Just comment that. When I see this comment, I will give it a heart, because I know I have added value to you, and I will be even more motivated to always bring you content of the highest quality. Now, there's a powerful video appearing on your screen that is a continuation of this one, full of riches, secrets about God, biblical treasures, and much more that will accelerate your results in all areas. Click on this video. Do it now.